Good evening and welcome to the Tuesday, October 19th meeting of the Oxford Board of Selectmen. First item on our agenda is our civil service eligibility list request by Chief Sad. And we have Chief Sad here. Thank you for coming forward.
Good evening, members of the board, Madam Manager. I appear before the board tonight as you are the appointing authority for police to make a request. And that request is to fill a requisition order to civil service for a current vacancy that we have. As you know, at the beginning of the month, we had a resignation of an officer. Also, moving forward, it's anticipated that there may be a second vacancy as well. We have an officer who's tops on a list for a state position. I'm not sure how that's gonna go, but in anticipation of that, I would like to request of the board to make a petition for two officers on the civil service list. When I look at the civil service list that we currently have, and it is a new list, we have 9 Oxford residents listed on that we'd like to get a look at. And beyond the 9 are veterans and disabled veterans from well outside the area, the Cape, western part of the state, but that's the way the list is released. So realistically, looking at that list, we probably have 9 individuals that may or may not be interested in coming here. So by requesting 2 from civil service on the requisition, I believe that they would release all 9 names to us. That would give us the opportunity to get a solid look at potential candidates in the future as well. Also something to consider, and I know you all are aware of it, it takes a while to run through the process. By the time we do backgrounds and everything that we need to do on our side of it, and then find a police academy that has an opening, and those academies are filling up very quick lately. A lot of police departments, as you know, are having openings. A lot of police officers are retiring or moving on to other professions for different reasons. So they fill up quick. Some of the local ones have already filled up. I was actually eyeing one in January in Reading. 2 weeks ago, there were 16 openings. Today, there's 0 and a waiting list. So the next academy would be in May, that's opening. June in Weston, Mass, and July in Boylston. So I would be looking to get, even if the potential candidate has to travel, we would help him out or her out with those arrangements to travel wherever they need to go, because the months are precious. So we would look to move as quick as possible on backfilling the position. Like I said, we definitely have 1 opening right now. We're staffed at 22, as you know. We're at 21, potentially at 20 within the next couple of months, I'll know. So while we're working on this process, I will find out definitively whether we're gonna have that second opening or not, and I will advise the board accordingly whether we'd be looking for 1 or 2. But for the purpose of this meeting today, I'm just looking for the civil service requisition for 2. And I would be more than happy to answer any questions that you may have regarding that process.
Great. Thanks. Board members, any questions, concerns? Then I'd entertain a motion to approve his request to send out for that list.
I make that motion.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second to approve his request. No comments? Call for a vote.
Yes.
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. 3 in affirmative, 1 absent.
Okay, thank you. Thank
Good
you to the
luck.
board, and I'll work with Dee to make that happen.
Right.
Take care.
Thank you. Thanks for coming in tonight, Chief.
You're welcome.
Next item on our agenda is a surplus request by our town clerk's office. I guess we have 2 4-drawer filing cabinets that are no longer securable or fire protected, and she's asking us to list those as surplus. Any questions or comments? And entertain a motion to approve that request.
I make a motion that 2 Fire King 4-drawer filing cabinets, numbers 01151 and 01152, be declared as surplus.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any comments? Call for a vote.
Yes.
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. 3 in affirmative, 1 absent. Those are surplus items. The next item is that the town clerk is requesting that we sign the town warrant for the special election on November 16th. I would entertain a motion to approve that request. Any,
I will make that motion.
Second the motion.
we have a motion and a second. Any comments?
Yes,
Yes.
I have a question for the town clerk. So, I understand, we know that this particular, special election is to fill the seat for Selectman Sads. However, and I'm sure it's probably just language, but it states that it's vote for one year.
Well, that's what we typically put
Okay.
on a ballot, because we don't, give like 1 year and months. We always go
Oh, I see.
1, 2, or 3. Whatever the
okay.
term is, that's like the standard language, but we all know that it will be 23.
Correct, got it. Okay,
Yes.
I just wanted to clarify that.
Yes.
All right, that's, I'm all set then. Thank
Great.
you.
Any other questions? I'll call for a vote.
Yes.
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. 3 in affirmative, 1 absent. We will sign that warrant. Okay, so next item is a re-precincting request by our town clerk.
Hi,
Hi, welcome.
good evening.
Had to walk a long way, huh?
So just a little background, I'm sure you're all aware that every 10 years the federal census, it takes place, and along that lines, they do re-precincting. So this, you have to keep each precinct under 4,000 residents. And so with the help of Tony Sousa, the town planner, and the Census Bureau for the state, they've helped us draw the lines, which I gave in the emails, that would affect 2 streets in town, both Pine and Wheelock. Concerning Pine Street, it would affect roughly 81 people. They would all be moved from, 28 people would be moved from precinct 3 and 53 from precinct 1. So it makes it all uniform, where everyone is actually voting on the same street in the same precinct, because it gets confusing when odd numbers, even numbers are voting at separate precincts. As far as Wheelock Street, currently there's 176 people. A total of 50 people would be affected by this move. 28 people from precinct 3 and 22 from precinct 1. And so I'm just requesting that you vote to approve this, because I need to get to the state, and it will take effect December 31st. And I will be notifying all these residents before next year's election.
So does this affect those people's precinct that area they vote from, as far as Chafee versus the?
Yes, it
things?
will.
Okay.
It unfortunately will. But I'm gonna advertise as much as I can. I've done this in the past, and I've sent out postcards, which is very effective. And I'll be putting it on the website and things of that nature. Plus, I'll be doing the census, and I'm gonna be notifying them in advance. Hopefully my vendor will get that done.
Board members, any questions? Then I'd entertain a motion to approve this request to re-precincting these 2 streets.
I make that motion.
Second.
All right, I'll call for a vote.
Yes.
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. 3 in affirmative, 1 absent. You're all
Thank you very
set.
much.
Thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
that work, Michelle. All right, next thing is our tax classification hearing. I'll read the notice into the record. Please take notice that the Oxford Board of Selectmen will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, October 19th, 20.
It's not quite 7:30, and
Oh,
we had
that's
to
right.
advertise
Okay,
at 7:30, sorry.
Thank you.
No, that's okay.
So we will go to our next agenda item is open meeting law complaint by Casey Fleming dated September 16th, 2021. And What we are here to do is to acknowledge receipt of this complaint and authorize town council to respond. So I'd entertain a motion to approve that.
I'll make that motion, but I'll amend the motion to reflect that the Board of Selectmen is to receive a copy of the response from town council.
Sure.
I'll second.
Yeah, okay. Great. So we have a motion and a second. Any more comments? I'll call for a vote.
Yes?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. 3 in affirmative, 1 absent. That is approved. So then we'll go to the town manager's report. Town manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and through you to the board members. I just wanted to start off, there's been a lot of meetings, and there's been a lot of events that have taken place since we last convened here in the town hall. As you know, fall town meeting occurred on October 6th, and we had 129 voters in attendance. In advance of that town meeting, we did have a very well-attended public forum regarding a $5.0 million roadway borrowing article, which subsequently passed at town meeting unanimously, and that approval now sets in motion some future steps that will be before the board in terms of it being put forward as a ballot measure, because it is a borrowing authorization as a debt exclusion. The board will be asked at a future meeting to set the date of an election and approve an election warrant by the town clerk once that is prepared. And the public is, I'm bringing this all up because we want the public, just like we did the forum and we did all of the different informational articles and materials in advance. If you go to our website on oxford.com, you will see that under the DPW tab, there is a large amount of material that will help anybody who's interested in looking at what was presented both in advance of town meeting and at town meeting to get an idea what that borrowing proposal will be like. Again, it's our goal here to make sure that the public is aware of the proposal, and even though it was very well supported at town meeting, the next objective is to make sure that it gets put on that ballot and people feel informed. So I also included a memorandum for the board in their packets because it was the first time we'd actually been back in the auditorium. I know that sounds crazy, but for those of us who were setting up the gym on multiple occasions for a variety of town meetings, it was really wonderful to get through that and to be in the auditorium and to have it go as smoothly as it did. Once again, you can see commending the staff for helping to do that. It takes really a solid team effort. The next item on the agenda.
Mr. Chairman?
Sure.
I have a question through you to the town manager. Very quickly, are we planning on having a ballot vote for that within 90 days?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
It's the law.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we'd be against law. But that's why I say you'll be doing it in the near future. It will not be on November 16th. It wasn't enough time. Plus, we also, between the DPW director and ourselves, want to give the public, just because we had 129 people, we still have, thousands of residents that we want to make sure that they're informed about it. And, the end goal here is not for just to be successful at town meeting, but to be successful at the ballot. So, but thank you for that,
Thank you.
that question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
The next item is the American Public Works Association competition. As you know, I had mentioned in my last report that we had two wonderful, adept, and highly skilled DPW workers who were representing the entire New England Association of Public Works Employees, Matt Krupski, who is here this evening, and also Lori Masoni, if you would come forward. I think we'd love to have an opportunity to hear about the fact that you were sent to Colorado to represent all of the divisions of public works across New England, and you had a unique opportunity to show your skill set in Colorado. They came back and they placed very high, and I thought we would be able to talk about their championship and their trip, and I wanted the board to have the opportunity to hear from both of them. So welcome and congratulations in advance, but tell us a little bit about what you actually did and how it worked out.
Well,
we competed. We did two different trucks. We won on the second place on the tandem axle. We did a single axle too, which didn't go quite as good. May have rubbed a couple of barrels, but there was the same course for both. You start by backing up, and they put the barrels really close together, and so we had a good idea what to do again the next time, because we did the single first. Then they have you do a walk around of the truck. One person does the walk around. One person has to do a written test, and we did the walk around. They in between, and so they give you 4 minutes to find 6 things wrong with each truck. They do it for each truck. And then on the course itself, you back through the barrels. You have to back up, and they give you a space. You can see it walking around. They show you where you score it, but they don't. You can't see it when you're in the truck, so you have to kind of remember roughly where to stop. Wow. And you pull out. Then we switch, and then I backed up first, and Lori drove second, and they have some barrels set up that represent cars and some cones that you have to hit with the plow, and you can't move the plow. The plow's set to just so you really wouldn't help you moving it, but so you got in, you get the cones, cut back out without hitting the barrels. They put it on both sides, and they make it so you really almost no
difficult.
margin for error.
Aha.
And then they want you to hit they had tennis balls set up, and they want you to hit it with the antenna of the truck, or as get as close as you could, and then go around, go through some cones. Then you had to get the plow. They had a line on the ground, and they want the blade as close to it as possible. And
Holy cow.
It was a great experience.
It was a lot of
It was
fun.
so much fun. And there was 41 teams of 2, and we placed second. So it was really
That's
a
awesome.
great experience.
25 points off of first.
And I'm really grateful I got to go. It was great.
Well, yeah, you did come back with something the previous year for the regionals. You got a big trophy. This time
Yes.
they gave you some beautiful belt buckles.
It's a play on that. It's a rodeo.
Yeah.
So rodeos, they give you belt buckles.
Yeah.
So we got belt buckles.
But it was great.
I did want to point out, I don't know if you've seen it, but Jennifer had it up, that you now have appeared in the New England Public Works Journal, and you're on page 9. And you can see yourself in multiple pictures. That was sent to my office from TEC Engineering and our Director of Public Works, and I just think we're very proud of you. And in particular, I don't know how many women got to actually compete, but did you see a lot of them?
There was only 2 women who competed.
There you go. So
So it was really an honor to place. It was awesome.
That's
It was
great.
a great time. So
that's
you.
great. Well, we'll be expecting even more, maybe first place the next time around.
They
yeah.
want that jacket.
Yes.
There you want the jacket. All right. All right. Thank you so much.
Congratulations. That's great. Very good.
That's just terrific. Number 3, I have a Bulletproof Vest grant. I wanted to inform the board that the Bureau of Justice has informed my office that our police department will be receiving a grant of $9,600, which will be matched by the state for a total of $19,200 to fund bulletproof vests for our officers. That is a grant that actually a lot of work was put in by our Lieutenant Marcelonis, who helped spearhead the grant effort, along with Chief Sad, to make sure all our officers are protected with such life-saving equipment. The vests have a 5-year expiration, and this will help fund between 22 and 24 vests for all our officers. So that's fantastic to hear.
Excellent.
The next item is remember I said there was a lot of different community meetings that we've had in advance of town meeting or around that time. So I just wanted to touch upon September 29th. We did have the community meeting for the Lowe's Pond Dam restoration project. We had state officials that came out, and also AECom Engineering staff that presented about this unique proposal that I've been updating the board about. We're now keeping residents informed about the stage that we're at. We had about 75 people attend. It was a great attendance for all of the neighborhood that may be affected. One of the things we wanted to do is kind of go over this very large engineering report that had 2 possibilities for the dam. It is a high hazard dam, and it is being flagged by the state for either removal or rebuilding. It became very, very clear to me when asking residents about which approach they were in favor of, and they were overwhelmingly in favor of rebuilding it. That would be a $2.4 million partnership grant that is being looked at by the state. Of course, we're now entering into licensing and permitting phases, and I'm working with our tax title attorney to eventually look at how we can acquire the properties that have been in tax title that are all surrounding the dam. I wanted to show you this one picture because I think this was what really was setting the tone for all of the residents, that they could actually see that what I had spoken to the engineers and to the state officials was that there's really people that do go there, and they have to go under underbrush, and you're on areas that are very unsafe, and it's all overgrown, and you would never know that you could actually maybe put a little park on either side and actually create parking for people to come and fish. But there's a lot of people go fishing there, and so I had said, is there any possibility we could do some kind of water visualization park on either side? And this is what they came back with, which would be really outstanding, because right below it, where it shows the guardrail there, the town already had replaced and reinforced the beautiful arched bridges underneath. So if you're standing on that potential overwalk, you'll be able to see the historic arched bridges that are facing downstream, and actually be able to see a 70 to 75-foot span that they will be rebuilding. So as exciting as this is, we still have a lot more work, but the big thing about the community meeting was very well attended. The residents of the area feel very supported, and what I'd like to do is when we get to that next step, have them come to the board, do a real official presentation. The board will have a very important role in the future, and that will be to encourage residents at a future meeting. The deal eventually would be, if this actually gets flagged by the state to be repaired, will be after it's all done and it's repaired, and we hope to get as many years as this dam had actually been in existence and more, that we would take over the dam as a property of the town. We do have other dams that will not be in 100% great shape after a project. So this would be, I think, a big win. One, it would get rid of a huge public safety risk factor. So I wanted to share that with you so that time doesn't tick away, and keep you all in the loop. But it was a great meeting. Sure.
You just mentioned something about tax title properties are surrounding there. Now, we just had a big tax title auction that was very successful, but are there more?
Oh, we have a lot of tax title properties that are not necessarily ready to go to an auction, and that takes an awful lot of research, approval, and eventually being able to, do a free and clear auction. These are not those properties, but our tax title attorney does think that we'll be able to proceed. All these properties, there's like 3, maybe 4, but there's at least 3 that would abut either side and a little bit downstream here. They are all belong to a former corporation that has long since gone belly up from years ago. There's a foundation to an actual mill that used to exist from like 1835. There's some pictures that we had brought in for our meeting, and but that is long gone since the more recent owners had disbanded, and you can never go after those corporations. They just don't exist anymore. And so it'll take some work, but I know that they're working with, there is some general counsel at the Department of Conservation and Recreation that will work directly with our tax title counsel, and hopefully whatever we have to do, we'll be able to keep it moving. But it's still a long process. We're talking at least 8 to 10 months out from the approval process, and licenses go all the way, waterway license will go all the way up to the governor's office, and we've been through that, even with Sacarapa. So hopefully, though, if it's a project they've flagged as being important, we'll be able to keep it on the docket. So,
Thank you.
no problem. The next item is the American Disability Improvement Grant. We, once again, on October 8th, submitted a $250,000 Massachusetts Office of Disabilities ADA Improvement Grant. And what we're hoping to do with this, is to fund some future accessibility improvements we'll be making to Town Hall. We've done some monies towards, particularly towards design and engineering, but we don't really have the money for making radical improvement to the entrance of the building. We know that the cement ramp out there, which has got a lot of cracks in it and is degrading, is actually not architectural board access compliant, and it doesn't meet today's standards. So I'm hoping this is our third attempt at this grant, and Tony Sousa has had the opportunity to work with me in submitting it this year. I'm hopeful that he's helped improve it, and this year, the third proposal will be a charm, and we will get the funding. If not, we know we're going to be moving forward with it anyway. The next item is, I just wanted to inform the board that we do have an announcement to make to both the general public and to board members, and that is we have a very special dedication of the high school stadium field taking place on October 22nd before the varsity ball game between Oxford and Bartlett. There'll be an official dedication ceremony of the field to Commander Michael Maisley Jr. before the game at 6:30 p.m. The Maisley family will be there in attendance, and a reception for the Naval Junior ROTC cadets will be taking place at the Carbuncle Beach House prior to the dedication. This has been something that's long been in the family's radar of wanting to make happen. COVID, of course, got in the way, along with a few other things. Commander Maisley was very instrumental to both the schools and to that program. We expect that there will be a lot of cadets that will be coming regionally to celebrate this official dedication. And I know that Joel is going to be there with his entire family to honor his brother. So that will be a great and fitting tribute. The next item is, I really wanted to do this because we do get questions through our office, and this is actually something really very, very positive. Electricity aggregation program. Residents should have received a letter over the weekend, and if not over the weekend, it should be forthcoming about the Oxford's Community Electricity Aggregation Program. And what I wanted to bring to people's attention is that we participate in this program in an effort to use a number of communities buying or marketing clout power to try to actually negotiate a energy supplier rate that will be competitive and lower to consumers, residents and businesses and commercial industries alike. And I was approached by Good Energy, who is sort of our brokering agent, to really, even though we already had a good rate to lock in for the remaining part of the agreement that we had, that I did in 2018, which saved residents an awful lot of money, and you've seen those graphs before at one of my meetings that I had reported on. Well, I took the initiative to listen carefully to the brokers, to enter into negotiations and go to the marketplace 8 to 10 months before we were even ready to be finalized with our agreement. I wanted to highlight to you, based on the information that Good Energy had given me at that time, they were really predicting that our overall prices for our suppliers, and right now National Grid had been the main supplier unless people had opted into the aggregation program. If you're looking at the residential factor, that I went to market and signed an agreement that will go all the way to 22, we're talking 10 cents, 10.3 cents per kilowatt for residential, and if we were to stay with National Grid, they're at 14.8 cents per kilowatt. That is a huge, important factor for people who, one, are just residents paying electricity, and if you go up commercial, you'll see that 10.3 cents per kilowatt goes across commercial and large commercial, and of course with the National Grid, it would not be as beneficial going up as high as 16.6 cents per kilowatt. So the other piece of it was during the market review, they had a green product, 100% green product, and asked if I would be interested in providing that as an option to residents, not just a reduced overall kilowatt hour adjustment. And they came back with 12.3 cents per kilowatt versus 14.8 for regular energy supplier. So The reason why I bring this up is because residents will have received this opt-out reply card. To be part of this program, to get that 10.3 cents per kilowatt versus almost 15 cents per kilowatt from National Grid, you have to do nothing. You'll get this in the mail and just know that you'll be signed up into the program. The only thing is, if you don't want to be receiving that benefit, you would fill out this opt-out reply card, and/or you can call Good Energy and go on their website, goodenergy.com, to actually opt out. This is very important, like I said, because residents will receive and see a huge change in their overall bills if they stay in it. So, but if you are wondering what to do, you can call and mail the postcard back, or you can call NextEra Energy or Good Energy at oxford-cea.com. So I just want to alert residents to that, and so that they'll know about that in advance. The next item on the manager's report, go ahead, sure.
It's,
Oh, you already did it. Perfect, thank you.
We'll come back if we can.
Yep.
So, okay, time being a little after 7:30, I'll read the notice into the record. Please take notice that the Oxford Board of Selectmen will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, October 19th, 2021, at 7:30 PM in the Selectmen's Meeting Room on the second floor of the Town Hall, which is located at 325 Main Street, Oxford, Mass., on the matter of selecting a residential factor, which will determine the percentage of taxes to be borne by each class of property for the fiscal year of 2022. And we have Chris here to kind of give us an outline of what's going on.
Good evening. Thanks for inviting me or having me here at your hearing. So I'd actually hoped to have everything ready today. We were very close. There's a few loose ends to tie up, a couple I's to dot and a couple T's to cross. Should be all set by the end of the week. So I'd like to ask the board if we can postpone the hearing or
Continue it.
continue the hearing to your next meeting. I guess is the 9th of November. And we'll certainly be ready by then, and maybe I'll be able to change the theme of my slides and have a winter theme or a fall theme instead of the plain orange we had last year.
Right. I'd entertain a motion that we continue this public hearing at a later date.
I make that motion.
I'll second the motion.
Any comments?
I have a quick question.
Sure.
Since we're having, the ballot for the debt exclusion, can we certify the tax rate before that, or do we have to wait for that election?
I can answer.
Excuse me, wait for that ballot?
Go ahead.
The understanding is we wouldn't be able to pay any bonds in 2022, but because the borrowing would happen in the spring, we wouldn't be paying
Oh, I understand.
until 2023. So
Got it.
we actually had this debate last week about, and we checked with DOR and to make sure that we were
We'll be fine.
we were in the right. So
You're in, okay, great. Excellent, thank you.
I understand we need to have a date and a
Yeah,
time.
thank you.
for the
Yeah.
We
hearing.
go.
Yes.
All right, then we'll set it for November 9th.
9,
Does that work?
at 7:30 PM? Do you want 7:30?
Yeah. Sounds
So I make
good.
I make a motion to continue this public hearing until Tuesday, November 9th at 7:30 PM.
Second the motion.
Great. Any more comments or questions? Then I'll call for a vote.
Yes.
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. 3 in affirmative, 1 absent. We will see you again on the 9th.
Thank you.
Thank you. That slides us right back into the town manager's report.
Great, and I see our DPW director has come again, and once again, I'm making sure everyone knows about bulk drop-off. It's a big deal. It's an actual wonderful benefit that this town enjoys through an arrangement with Casella at the transfer station, and bulk drop-off days are approaching fast. The first one will be Saturday, October 30th for Oxford Center to the north, and the second one will be Oxford Center to the south on Saturday, November 6th. Again, it'll be from 8 to 3 p.m., and households are limited to one load to the transfer station, and we will be doing social distancing, and masks are required at the facility when unloading. And then if you go to the DPW website, we do have all the list of things that are acceptable materials. So if everybody can look at that, that would be great. We'll see your smiling faces behind your mask when you get there. The next item is just to go over some quick community events announcements, because I know people will be interested. The first one is that there will be a trunk or treat on Saturday, October 23rd at the Oxford High School parking lot from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. After that, on Saturday, October 23rd, coming fast upon us, we will be having a Scarecrows on the Common event. It's our second annual one that we started through the manager's partnership with the community center. That will happen in terms of timing between 11 and 4 p.m. I can tell you that judging is going to be hard this year because I have already heard about some of the entries that are going to be coming, and I think it's going to be terrific. So I encourage people to take a look and to participate, whether you're a business, a department, or just an individual with that has children, or not, just somebody who's very creative. And we look to have our common decorated in fitting fashion. The next item is just to let the board know that we will be relaunching our senior tax work-off program, and that presentation will occur at the Senior Center on October 26th, which is a Tuesday. The Assistant Town Manager, Jennifer, and I have been working on being able to provide increased opportunities. We did include it previously in our budget as a determinant by working with our assessor and our finance director. So we hope to provide our seniors with some relief for those that want to participate. And the last item is a little early, but it's really not, because I don't know how fast time travels, but it seems to be very fast. OCC is going to be helping coordinate the annual tree lighting this December 5th, which is a Sunday, at 5 p.m. on Jocelyn Common. And it wouldn't be right not to acknowledge the fact that COVID took a lot of things away from us, in particular a lot of community interaction that we had for our seniors, and it was really delightful to recently, just a few days ago, get on the bus with the seniors who were ready to go up to the Turkey Train fall foliage tour. As you can see, the bus was full, and everybody was happy, and they returned at like 7 o'clock at night, and their next post-pandemic bus tour is going to be to Newport, Rhode Island, where they're going to actually be seeing a Christmas play. So I would say sign up now, because as you can see, that bus didn't have one seat, one seat available. So I want to just thank our Senior Center Director for pulling that together. It was her first launch of a bus tour, and it went off smoothly. Speaking of events, we have a very important one coming up. As you know, COVID also interrupted our annual Veterans Luncheon last year. In 2019, my office worked to really expand that with our veterans agent at the time, and we had a record number of people come to the Veterans Luncheon that we hosted at Carbuncle Beach House. With our new veterans agent, we're going to be working towards recreating that success on Wednesday, November 10th at the Carbuncle Beach House. And additionally, David Adams, our veterans agent, is working for other Veterans Day observances with the Post and the VFW and our Honor Guard for November 11th. So we will have something that will be forthcoming once they've organized the itinerary, and I expect the board will get a letter from the Post and or the VFW shortly in working with our agent. So I would say that veterans will be receiving that invitation, and we hope to have them be honored on that day. I also did put in a call to our superintendent of schools, our new one, and asked if we could actually increase the participation from the school on a couple different fronts, either with the luncheon or with the observances. And so he texted me back before we came in and said absolutely he was excited about some of the ideas that we could share together. And the next item is to let everyone know who's been asking about the flu clinic. First, that's a COVID flu clinic, but that's not what I'm going to talk about right now. I wanted to inform the community that the seasonal flu clinic will be taking place on Monday, November 1st. The Board of Health Chairwoman And also, our senior center director had come to the office to say that they wanted to host a flu clinic. It's going to be held on Monday, November 1st, 9:30 to 11 a.m. We want to encourage everyone to get a seasonal flu vaccine, but also to sign up in advance. We have been notified that people need to bring their insurance card, and there is help at the senior center to do an online registration so that they'll know how much vaccine to bring. And that brings us to COVID-19 update and the bus here. I wanted to continue to inform the board as our public health nurses continue to see an increase of COVID-19 cases. Some communities have seen a decrease. Our community continues to see an increase. As you can see, the total cases for the month of September were 140, and if you look at where we were at the previous year, we're talking about, between 10 and 14-fold. Consequently, in talking with the chairwoman of the Board of Health, we had notified the state that we were interested, since a lot of these cases that they're seeing have never been vaccinated at all, that maybe we have an opportunity to provide greater access for people seeking to be vaccinated, and maybe we can help drive that number down in the future. So I did include in your packet some correspondence with the Commonwealth's COVID Vax Bus program, and I have heard back from them that they think it would be very fitting to not only offer a date where the bus will be out here. I said it might be great to do it in the parking lot where Market Basket and Home Depot are, or right outside here on Main Street, because of the number of cases that our public health nurses are seeing for people not actually vaccinated, but they do have cases of people who probably are due for a booster, and there are some breakthrough cases. So we do have people who are starting to think about wanting to have a booster, and it would be great if they could get it by just walking on the bus, right, here in town. So we're going to be trying to pull that together as soon as possible, and hopefully that will take place. And that concludes the manager's report for this evening. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Town Manager. We go to Selectmen's community announcements. Selectman LaPointe. Selectman Daniels.
I have nothing this evening.
And I don't have anything, so I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll second the motion.
I will call for a vote.
Yes.
Yes.
And I'll vote yes. 3 in affirmative, 1 absent. We are adjourned. Thank you all for coming and watching.